Today we're learning about blending modes using Adobe Photoshop. I am in the photography workspace and I have 4 photos that are relatively the same size and I want to superimpose them over each other. So there's 2 ways that you can bring the 2 photos together. So I want to take this welcome and put it over the top of desert. I'm going to go to my welcome photograph and grab my move tool and just click and drag anywhere in the middle of the screen. Click and drag, don't let go of your mouse, and you put your mouse up to the top. It's going to flip to the next photo. I still have not let go of my mouse, and I'm now going to pull this down. You'll see a plus sign has appeared. Now I'm letting go of my mouse. And you can see that it has brought one photo into the other one, and I can adjust for it. Okay, I'm now going to delete that, and let's do it the second way. The second way you can do this is have all the photos that you're thinking about using. I'm going to go to Window, Arrange, Tile All vertically. So now all of them are on the screen at one time. I can now, with my Move tool, this time you're going to have to go to the Layers menu, click on the layer you want to drag, and drag it into the new photograph and drop it. So on the first time you were grabbing directly in the middle of the screen. When you do the next way, you have to grab through the Layers menu. Now you'll see that I have Desert selected. I'm going to say Window, Arrange, Consolidate all to tabs, which is the normal way we're used to looking at it. You'll now see we're back on Desert and we have 2 layers. So that's 2 ways that you can put 2 photographs together. In the Layers menu, notice that you have opacity. We can take the opacity and pull it down to get a pretty interesting effect. That looks pretty cool, but we can do better than that. So that is just the opacity, the idea of bringing the opacity down. I'm going to put that back at 100. This time we want to look at blending modes. So the blending modes are right here, and it's going to default to be normal. So normal is obviously what we're used to looking at. Each pixel is whatever each pixel is. So the easiest way to click through these is you can either click on them and they're going to bring this cool thing up. But what I like to do is click until this is blue right here, and then you can just scroll your mouse to slowly scroll through all the different effects that you can get with the blending modes. So what do these blending modes mean? I'm going to put up a link to Adobe's explanation of what each one of these means. But it's fun to just see which one you like just by scrolling through them. So like I said, click on it so that you can see this is blue, and then just start scrolling your mouse through to see which one looks the way you want it to look. Now I think I'm liking Color Burn best. Like I said, it depends on what you want. Where's Color Burn? So that is a really cool effect. And realize that you could still put a layer mask, you could still make adjustment layers, you can still have selections. In fact, let's go a little bit farther with this. I've got one called Pretty Water, and I want to put this in with tulips. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and say Tile All. I'm going to grab the background layer of tulips and put it into Pretty Water. So now I want to consolidate all to get back to the normal, and I want to be on Pretty Water. So here are my 2 layers. And let's see what we can get with this one. I kind of like the way that looks, but I wish it wasn't on this bottom layer quite as much. So I'm going to turn off layer 1, and I'm going to select just the background because I want to do something just with the background. So I could use a variety of tools. I'm going to try the quick selection tool. So that does a pretty good job. There is a new tool we can try. Control D to get rid of the marching ants. Let's try Select Sky and see what it does. Okay, it has done a really good job. Let's zoom in, Alt scroll, and we can see we've got a few problems that the computer didn't understand. We can get rid of those using some of our other selection tools. So let's grab the quick selection tool that we learned in another tutorial. And I'm going to say Alt for the minus key and just get rid of some of this that the computer thinks is sky, but it's not. Alt. Okay, I think we have a pretty good selection now. We need to add this part in, so I'm going to just not have Alt, just click and add that in. Okay, so now I've got a pretty good selection using the background layer. I now want to take that and use this selection to make a mask on the other layer. So I'm now going to click on the other layer, turn it on, and I'm going to add a mask, a layer mask, to this layer using the selection of the first layer. So add a layer mask, and you can see it has done exactly what I wanted it. It only put the tulips on the sky part, and you can see it even added it in down here where we made that little selection. Now the problem with this is I would like a little bit of the tulips to go here in the reflection. So I wish I could have half of this back on the reflection. The way that I would deal with that is you could either make a copy of this and flip it around, that would be cool, or why don't we get rid of some of the mask so that maybe half of the tulips is showing through down here. I'm going to be sure I'm on the mask. I'm going to get a brush and bring the opacity down to say 20%. Get a nice soft brush. And I'm going to add with white a little bit of this back in. There we go. So we're seeing just a little bit down. Maybe I did a little much. Undo, Control Z. There we go. So the idea here is if you look at my mask, you can see that it is gray down here, and we added just a little bit of that back. So in this last one, I want to create a silhouette. I'm going to bring in, let's tile these vertically, get my move tool. I'm going to bring these, so I have to grab the layer menu and bring it over to my silhouette. Now I'm going to go back to consolidate the tabs, and let's choose our blending mode. That looks cool, but I wish it was just inside. So once again, I'm going to turn off this layer, go to my original layer, and let's see if the AI can choose our subject. Remember to grab any selection tool and you will see Select Subject appear. Select Subject. That looks like a pretty good selection. Now we're going to go back to our original layer, turn it on, make sure you are on that layer while we add a layer mask. Now that looks pretty cool. Now overall, I want to bring the opacity of this down a little bit because I think it's a little bit too much. I wish that there was a little bit of this going on in the sky. So I'm going to go grab my mask layer, get a brush again, and we're still at 20%. We're on white, because remember, white to reveal, black to conceal. So we want to reveal a little bit of the flowers here in the sky. I'm going to make sure I'm on the mask, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the flowers back in, just kind of a... And of course, if you realize you've taken it too far, just switch back to black to get rid of some of them. In fact, I was kind of liking that. Let's kind of add a little bit of, oh, I like that a lot. Kind of getting rid of some of it on his face there, and maybe a little bit on his chest. So you can draw in the mask. If you see my mask, I've really got a kind of lot going on in the mask. So adding blending modes, so we've added blending modes, selections, and masking all together, and that's a pretty interesting photo.